So we are really delighted to have Chris and Tristan Palmer joining us today for our first Back on Track podcast. It's been a long time coming, but we're really happy to be chatting to you this afternoon, lads. So just to give a brief introduction, luxury coffee machine company based down in Milton Keynes. You've worked within various different companies operating within the motorsport industry, fueling the World Superbike and BSB paddock. And of course, starting the journey out many years ago with Honda. So, Chris, Tristan, welcome. Going to give a little background, if possible, on where you all started out.
Well, thank you for having us. I'll leave it to you to start it off.
I
won't remember.
Well, just so you can wriggle out of it. Something.
Yeah, I can just sit here quietly.
It's like we're playing doubles here.
Yeah.
I'll just sit and look pretty for a while.
Oh, okay. This is what's happening. See, all gets left to either gets left to me whilst he goes off driving Ferraris and flying helicopters, and I'm having to do stuff. Yeah. So, and again, you'll have to stop me because I'll talk for England. I'll drag on for ages, and I'll then go and say something stupid. So there should be loads of them where you can cut bits out and bleep things because I'm bound to say the wrong thing, or I don't know.
Don't worry.
I don't understand what you're allowed to say anymore, what's PC, what's not. So I apologise.
We don't want it to be PC, though. That's what makes it a podcast.
There is no PC here, mate. Trust me.
That's good. So I might not offend too many people. So, yes, we started a coffee company as a domestic coffee company. And James will remember this, back in the Dura days, the little coffee machines. And it was really, the idea was if someone phoned up for what's the best coffee machine you can buy for home, that was the level we were aiming at. And we started from the house. We'd done a deal with the post lady and we had an old like woodshed and where you put all the coal, and we put a door on it and we put a letterbox. We called it Unit 1, so it sounded like official. Done a deal with the post lady that if she got any posts, that was us. Called it Express House, Unit 1, Park Road. And set the company up. It was literally us working from home. We knew nothing. I'm not sure I know it anymore now, but we generally knew nothing about coffee machines. So when the website launched, we didn't even have a phone number. Because if someone phoned me and said, what does this machine do? It'd be, fact if I know. But by the fact they used to email or do that live chat, I had enough time to Google what it did. So I could tell them. And very quickly we learned. And one of the things we did is we used to buy a machine and have it in the kitchen. So I could say to people, look, this is what the spec says it does, but this is what it does in the real world as well. So very quickly we started, and by the end of the third year, we were the third biggest retailer in the UK of that start, that market. There was a few competitors, and then by the second year we were number one, and then we decided we need an office and stuff like that. And I won't bore everyone to tears with it all, but what happened was this was just before the big recession. You had a credit crunch and then it went to recession. And we were like this particular band, which was Dura. They flew us out to Switzerland. We trained out there. We did all sorts, and we could do no wrong. We were their biggest retailer. They loved us. But unbeknown to us, as the credit crunch was looming, they were setting up their own website and structure to sell direct and cut out the middleman. And literally, we found out on a Friday afternoon, and they more or less shut our business overnight because they changed. Obviously, you get a trade discount, and we were up to about 47% because of the amount we bought, and they literally changed it overnight to 8%. Wow. We already gave a 5% discount to new customers, and they shut down our company overnight. And I don't get down very often, but I literally remember locking the door that night thinking they've just closed us because we were probably 80% selling their brand, and we built their brand on back then, the social media that was there and everything else. Yeah. So anyway, after a weekend of feeling sorry for myself, I was like, yeah, fuck this. No one's going to beat me. And we went commercial. And that's really where a lot of that started. We then were doing stuff for a Porsche Carrera Cup team. And funnily enough, this is back in 2008. And where the fueled by came from is they, at the end of the year, like they do, they'd sent us a picture and they wrote on it, fueled by Express Coffee. And this was in 2008. It's like, oh, that's I quite like that.
That's good.
It was a guy called Simon Dolan. He's still around. Jota Porsche with the company. So we travelled around back then in the sort of, I think it was 2007, 2008 in the touring car paddock with them. But I'm very much a down to earth person, and I found it very hard to relate to the car people because to me, you know, they're lovely people, but you know, quite often they had a rich mummy and daddy that put them through the racing, and I, you know, I'm not knocking them; they're great people, but I found it hard to relate to. You know, I was very much just a grafter, and I literally came home and I said, I want a bike team. And back then, I found the Superbike website. I went on and I emailed a load of, back then you could get all their details, and I emailed all these teams. And again, forgetting I was offering something free of charge, I was fucking hounded, like literally inundated with, because I didn't know what I was doing. This was Hydrex Honda, Sean Muir, he came through, and a few others. And anyway, the one that kept bugging me, and we had a young apprentice called Steph at the time, she kept giving me a scrap of paper. This bloke Harvey keeps calling, something to do with some email you've sent out. So I called this Harvey bloke and didn't have a clue who he was, and arranged to go and meet him up at Louth. It was a Cadwell Park event. Went up there, still had no idea how it all worked. And he met me at Louth. I think it was maybe a Friday, and we drove up to Cadwell. And we drove in, and he was saying to the security, he's with me, and I just drove in. Anyway, it took us all the way down the bottom. And I remember sitting there over by that little funny house, that little disused house at the end of the paddock or whatever, the pits, I suppose they called it. And back then, there was shaky there. It was Leon and Carol Crutchlow were the two riders. And he kept coming up and said, sorry, Chris, like, I will get a chance. I've just got. I was like, mate, I could sit here all day. And I am in my element. Were you at Airwaves then, or what were you then?
No, 2008, I would have been at Hydrex then with Sean.
So you were Hydrex Honda. So I was in my element. I said, look, mate, get me a chair and I could sit here all day. There was just do what you got to do. Yeah, so anyway, so that was the starting of it, and we'd done a deal with Harv, and again, I didn't understand the whole Honda thing. I didn't, and I think it's still the case now that they're the only official that they're employed by Honda, whereas all the other teams are appointed, aren't they? If I'm correct in thinking the way it works. So we done a deal with Harv, and he became a very close friend. His boy Teed ended up working for me and babysitting the kids and stuff like that. So we very much become part of the Honda family. And that was our intro into BSB, and yes, we did a bit for him, and then I think a couple of years later, he'd always, you know, such a lovely guy. He'd message me, Chris, Honda UK got this idea, he said, about having a coffee machine at the NEC, and we think we might do a few coffees. And yeah, no problem, mate. I'll sort it out. You leave it to me. I'll get it sorted. And we took some machines up there for the NEC, and they got this idea of doing this little cafe and bringing people onto the stand and data capture. And I was like, look, whatever you need, I'll do it. Didn't have a clue what I was doing. I just went up there. But anyway, we gave him a load of coffee. And by the Sunday, this is back in the 10-day show. It started on a Thursday. I think we had a meeting.
Yeah, it used to be a lot longer, yeah.
Yeah. By the Sunday, he's out of coffee. So I've gone up there on the Monday. I always remember, it's always snowing. It's always shitty weather for the NEC. Gone up there, freezing cold, gone up there with coffee. Tristan had bunked off school. So Tristan was in a little express coffee top. And you would have been about 9 years old. Tristan was wiping. When I got there, the queue was off the stand. It was Ian at Athlone running the stand for Harv. We just provided everything. It's like, mate, I can't leave you like this. So I just said, look, I'll just crack on. I'll help you. Tristan was wiping tables. I don't forget that. And just collecting cups and emptying the bins and everything else. And unbeknown to me, I'm meeting all these sort of top flyers in Honda. And I'm just doing what I do. I'm just chatting to people, and I'm trying to help because they need help. So we did that, and it was a great success. I think they won stand of the show, and we got copied on some email from Honda that, you know, thanked us. We did 17,000 cups in 10 days. I was
about to ask how many you did.
Mate,
that's all we do at the show. We drink coffee.
Jesus.
Mate, I honestly, the Paul machines were absolutely knackered,
Wow.
but we did it, and then literally. Funny enough, I chat to this guy quite a lot on LinkedIn, and he's in the same sort of areas. He was at that show that you guys were at, a guy called Nick Campolucci. I started getting all these phone calls and emails coming through from Honda UK about a project they wanted to look at the dealerships for what was on offer, you know, everything, and would we help them with the hot drink side. And I was getting all these people come through. Nick Campolucci was one who went on to bigger and better things, and a guy called Mick Doyle, I think now heads up bikes now, and they were coming through, and I was having to keep going back. I was like, bloody hell, who are all these people? Apparently they spoke to at the NEC. And anyway, so we helped them, and we worked with Honda for the best part of 9-10 months at a dealership. We put different coffee machines in. Once they chose the coffee machine, the different coffees, the cups, absolutely everything. Roasted them their own blend. And then after that, they then did a brochure that went out to all dealerships to say, look, this is the machine we've chosen, this is the research we've done, and this is our appointed company that we would recommend. They couldn't force them, but recommend that you now use. And that really started into our focus into dealerships. We never intended to go that way. We were just grafting and doing what we do and trying to help. So that's kind of where, from Superbikes, and we're still with Harv now, so we still look after Harv, and obviously we've got a lot of other teams that we look after. But that's really where it sort of took us and helped mould our business in through just going out and doing what we do, and that's us.
That's crazy, isn't it, how fast it sort of escalated from a little shed with a letterbox to that.
Yeah, it's still one of those where you have days where you drive out thinking if you feel like a millionaire, then you have days where you feel like go and think, oh, I don't think I've got fuel for the car. But so it's very much because certainly during the COVID periods and even now, I think there's still a lack of confidence out there. But it's certainly because we love what we do and the experience it's given us. And to be fair, the people, James included, and yourself, but the people we've met through our business, I've got to say, has been phenomenal. It's McGuinness kindly sorted us out, took us and arranged for us to go to the TT in 2014, which really changed our lives, because it was that thing on the bucket list of always wanted to go to the TT, and then it happened. And I was chatting to Becky online the other day. I said again to him, I said, I don't think you two realise how much you changed our lives. You come through to us thanking us for looking after you, for coffee and stuff. It's like you've done far more for us than we've ever done for you, just by that one little thing that means nothing to you, because it's just a flip and I'll sort it all out for you. And so it's I'm amazed by the people we've met over the years, and that's what makes it worthwhile.
Yeah,
I think it was 2009 you said that you guys linked up.
Yeah, we got together in 2009, didn't we? Just shortly after that. I didn't know the whole story of how you started though with Honda, so that was new to me. Well, no,
there's garage that I was sat.
Yes. So obviously I used to drag Tristan. So obviously I've got Tristan Owen. So Owen runs a building construction company. You might burst through the door in a minute, soaking wet. He's running two or three of his sites today. So Owen's now 22. Tristan's 23. Tristan would be dragged around with me mainly, just like I said at the NEC, helping wipe the tables, carry the coffee, and because it was pretty much back in the day. We would turn up, and you guys know what it's like. So we'd turn up at BSB. We were with Harv. We tied in with yourself, and then we helped Airwaves. And we had back then, because you had a sort of 2-year deal with them, and we did a 2-year deal with them as well. Yeah. And obviously that was sort of, they stopped racing, but we did a deal. So we had Honda with Harv, and then we had the Airwaves hospitality units that we did. And that's really where we were in BSB. And Tristan would be in there with me helping out, but then we sort of we sort of went from there, didn't we, to so you sort of started so Tristan's been around the paddocks and grown up within the paddocks doing that side.
It's kind of like if you've ever seen Austin Powers with Dr. Evil and Mini-Me.
it was Mini-Me. He was so loyal as well. He always had his little Express Coffee t-shirt on, I remember.
Yeah, I've still got the picture. So I remember bringing your machine. It was a Dura Z5, and I remember bringing it over to your RV. It's parked at Silverstone as it is at the front, all there. So I brought it over and got a picture of Tristan. I got my camera taking skills as good as my technical skills. I've got a picture. You can hardly see you, but you've got your boy band look with your little curtains.
Oh God, yeah.
And Tristan's in there with his HM plant jacket on, and we were just setting your machine up for you. It's definitely. I definitely think it's come a long way. That's us.
It's an amazing story. The one thing you were saying before about when you said McGuinness, like the little thing he's done to help you out, but on the flip side of that, mate, on a personal note, you've helped so many riders out in the paddock. What was it that kind of got you thinking, right, well, me personally, I mean, you sponsored me for like best part of 12 years, and that massive deal for me, just even being part of your whole Express Coffee family. And it wasn't just a sponsorship deal, you've helped me out in so many other personal ways as well, even just chatting on the phone, or helping out with bloody security cameras at my house, when I was away. for like 3
That's it.
months, and you and the
all your
boys went
fucking-
up and fitted
all your heat was off. I remember that. Your heat was off because you were away, and we were sat there.
That was a
wasn't we?
good day because I think I got the day of school and I just watched Star Wars.
And we were sat there. We took some blankets so we could keep an eye on the guys doing all the cameras and keep an eye back to you. We were bloody freezing that day.
Yeah, the heat wasn't off. It was broken. So obviously I was away, so I couldn't figure out how to do it.
Yeah, gosh, I remember that.
About that, yeah.
Do you know what? I think I've always been brought up. If you can help someone, it's wrong of you not to. So if it's in my power to help someone, I should do it, whether I know them or don't know them. I think that's why we try and do so much for the homeless and stuff like that. It's because you're trying to make a difference. And I think, and with riders, I mean, I've got to say, I know sometimes some people might have other opinions because I know it can get very political. But when I look at the British Superbike paddock, I think it's run phenomenally well, and it's done amazing for us. So you've always got frustration that you've got the wrong pass, and I've parked in the wrong spot, stuff like that. But generally, what an amazing event it is. It's allowed us to build our brand massively, and then our tiny little part within it. If we can help someone, we try to. And I always said to people, we've never had the deepest of pockets when it comes as a sponsor. We're not a sponsor that can turn up and chuck a load of money at it, but we try to do stuff where you could do things, as you say, to make a bit of a difference and be there and perhaps give that side. So it's and I'll tell you where that starts. Funny enough, so we start obviously with yourself, and I always remember because obviously Tracy, my wife, runs the financial side, and I am always getting it in the ear of why am I spending money on this? Why have I done this? And I'm constantly have to justify everything, which helps keep our feet on the ground. I always remember we'd sponsored yourself, and I sort of said, I got this deal with James. It's a 2-year deal. He's with Airwaves. It's all looking good. And obviously Airwaves went sort of stopped racing. So I'm getting, and obviously because we were such a small company back then, I'm not that we're that big now, but Tracy would go, you've given him like £2.5 coffee machine. And what's he doing? Well, what's going on? And I always remember, I think that when did you go after Airwaves?
So the following year, I finished second in the championship that year.
Yeah, because it was a fantastic year on Airwaves.
It was amazing, yeah. Leon Camille won it, teammate. So as a team, we won the Constructors' Championship as well. So we were first and second. And I remember the top 6 riders. So Leon Camille, and then the other I was second, and then the other 4 behind me, which would have been, I think, Shaky, Tom Syke, Crutchlow. I can't remember the last one. Who would it have been? Mine's gone blank. Anyway, so those 5 riders all went off to World Superbikes. Camille got factory Aprilia rides. Oh, Shaky, of course. Shaky was off to World Superbike. They all got a ride, and myself and Leon. I don't think Leon Camille. I don't think he stuck to what he was supposed to do because he ended up getting a ride off the back of it. But we weren't allowed to say anything, so Airwaves pulled out. I had a contract. If I finished top 3 in the championship, contract was renewed for the following year. So we were supposed to have a 2-year deal like yourself. So 2010, I should have been riding for them. The wage was all set. And then at the end of the year, they were like, right, we're going to cut your wages by 45% from this year. So my wages were literally cut in half from that year. All the bonuses were taken away, and we'd had 14 podiums, 4 wins. So I lost a hell of a lot of money that year.
Yeah. And
I went back to Texas where I spent the winter normally for the 3 months, literally every day on the phone, emailing people. Once I could talk about it, because we went to the NEC, obviously the season finished in October. NEC starts in November. We weren't allowed to say anything about not riding for GSE until after November. We had to sign an agreement.
Yeah.
So when anyone asked, I was like, yeah, I'm riding next year for GSE, when I wasn't. But I wasn't allowed to say anything. So all the teams were like, oh, would have been interested in talking to you. So they could go off and sign the riders. And by the time I could actually talk, all the rides had gone.
Yeah.
So I'm in Texas, literally on the phone, on emails every day, trying to find something. And luckily, I'll cut this really short because I don't want to bore you with it, but luckily, Stuart Higgs had done a deal with Sean Muir because he only had 1 rider, which was Stuart Easton, and he needed 2 riders on the grid. So Stuart Higgs called up and said, look, we've got a ride for you here. This is in March. So just before the season started, I'm panicking at this point, which is why I ran the number 2 that year because we finished second. So Easton was number 3, I was number 2. And then, so literally Sean Muir and Stuart threw me a lifeline. And I went back to Sean's team, which I was in 2008. Went back to his team in 2010, so...
Was that Honda, Swan Honda, was it?
That would have been the Swan Honda, yeah. And that should have been a good year. We started off the first round. Me and Tommy Hill were sort of the main, sort of looked like we were going to be battling out for the rest of the year. But the first round at Brands, I think I finished third in the first race. So Sean was happy with that. Then I won the second race, so he was absolutely peaking. Went to Thruxton, round 2. Quickest.
I remember that.
Yeah, quickest on the Friday, both sessions. Quickest on Saturday morning. Somebody dumped oil. I think it was Kianari out the back and crashed on the oil. There was no red flag. Crashed on the oil, hit a barrier, snapped my femur.
I remember that. Cause
That was kind of the end of the year.
Because when you that was the round where we then got involved with Ola and Sean. So
yeah.
I remember that their coffee machines had gone bang. You'd come through to us, or you'd messaged, obviously probably before you'd had your accident, and Ola sent someone in, and we sent them down a coffee machine just to, and I just thought just to get you out the shit for the weekend, and we'd discuss it afterwards. You know, just get that sorted, and we'd do it afterwards. Yeah, so I remember that. So that was it, because that was the Swan Honda. And then the following year, didn't you do the World 600? Was that when you went?
Yeah, I kind of fell out with the championship because I spent like an intense 3 weeks after that crash in the Isle of Man in the hyperbaric chamber, getting back to fitness basically. So I only missed the one round, and I came back to Cadwell. I was told that if I had a letter from the doctor saying I could ride. Yeah. And then I got there, and there was a bit of conflict of interest between the head of the medical staff and Higgsy. Higgsy wanted to let me out on track.
Yeah.
The medical staff wouldn't let me out on track until they could see I was fit enough to ride. But of course, I had to go on track allow them to see if I was fit enough. It was like, well, hang on, one of you has to give here, because you have to see me on track first to see if I'm fit enough to ride. But you're not allowing me until, So anyway, I kind of fell out with it then, because I'd worked so hard and spent thousands of pounds in, rehab and trying to get back fit enough to race at that round. And I kind of fell out with the championship a little bit that year. So, yeah, I mean, we ended up winning a race and getting on the podium towards the end of the year. And then got offered to go riding World Supersport, but that's it.
And I used to get those two confused. Which one? Where it was the Swan, and then that? Yeah, because I remember then you went well. So what happened was, the reason I'm sort of saying this is because what happened was obviously we'd sponsored you, and first year then had an injury and stuff like that. So I've got Tracy Winship. They said, "Who is this guy? He don't seem to ever be on track." So no, he don't understand. He's had and I would constantly explain myself to her.
Shit, sorry, mate.
It's all right. It's all right. You're good now, mate. You're good now.
And you're off the hook.
You got a loyalty award now. You've been with us long enough. You're like family. So Brilliant. What happened was you came in before going MotoGP, and I always remember you came in, and me being me, I'm just happy. Like I said to you, and I don't know if I've probably said this to you before. My attitude was, you could be riding a push bike for all I care. We're your sponsor. It's thick and thin. Don't matter. It's like a marriage. We don't just turn up because you're on the podium. We're there through it all. And then when it goes good, great. And then when it goes bad, we stick together. And you come in before the season started to tell me about this. Was it called ART or the
CRT?
CRT, right?
Yeah.
And you came in to explain what you were doing. And I was like, yeah, whatever. I didn't understand none of it as usual. I was like, yeah, whatever. We just serviced all your machine up ready for you, gave you a few bits and pieces, and off you went. And I always remember, and I think it probably wasn't the first MotoGP round, but you had said to me, what I'm going to do is I'm going to run this visor sticker for you. And I was like, yeah, whatever. I don't understand none of it. It all sounds good to me. Crack on. And we were at Brands Hatch, what we used to do before we had the racetrack is we used to stay with Honda. So we'd go in with Honda, we'd stay in the hotel as part of the Honda team. And what the advantage was is we could then, if I don't want to be at the track all day, I could catch up with Harv or whatever else. And me and Harv used to train together. I could never keep up with him, Even after his cancer battle, I still can't keep up with him on a rower. So we trained together of an evening. And we were in what I call the Honda Hotel. I think it was Maidstone or whatever. Maidstone or whatever. And we were in there. And MotoGP was obviously on. And we were in the bar area. And suddenly someone went, Chris, look. And they looked over at the big TV on the wall. And he just went, Express Coffee. Because they had the cameras on the front of the bike. And
yeah, they don't bother.
Where did that come from? And I always say to people, not only was James our first, BSB fuel buy rider, but the whole fuel buy visor sticker, everything else started with James' idea. It wasn't my idea. It was, James saying, oh, yeah, you can do all this. And I always remember that I then looked at BSB, and not many riders in BSB rode with visor stickers back then. It was quite rare. I can't even think of the ones that did. I think Hickey might have, who was one of the early ones, but a lot of them didn't ride with visor stickers. I remember so much so that I went to Harv to say to him, is it not allowed? Is it something that, you're not allowed to ride? Is it something to do with vision? I don't know. And Harv then explained how it works. You got your 4 areas on your levers and your helmet, you do what you like. And we then trialled the idea back then with Michael Laverty and Joe Halloran. I think Jay was on the 600 Super Sport and Michael was obviously full BSB. And we started running visor stickers. And back then it was, James will remember, it was all the full www.
Oh, yeah, it
was like all long-winded. And so, you know, James started that entire thing for us. So that's really where we suddenly sort of turned up, as it were. You know, we've been sort of floating around doing bits and pieces. People sort of knew we were, but I think from that moment we did that, and obviously we revised it to Express Coffee, and then the fuel buy came in more, that we ran with that, and that's where a lot of it started. But it all started with James. So then I could finally go back to the wife and say, look, this is how it started. Back up.
It's worked. I remember when you're on about the whole vision thing, then I remember we went through a few different people making the stickers. I think Tommy Hill ended up doing it in the end.
Yeah, Tommy does
all
of our stuff now.
Different sizes, different colours. It was white and a black background, black and a clear background, and then we came.
That's it, because we had it on a strip at one stage.
That's right.
Because the individual letters would fall off after a while, so it'd go like XpressCoffee or whatever.
But the whole size thing, I remember one particular one that I thought, right, I'm going to make it massive now just to make a big deal out of it so I can see it. Because I was expecting to get on the podium. Mate, I couldn't fucking see a thing. When I was looking down, all I could just see was just this black thing here. And I was like, just trying to pick it up as I was riding, but obviously with your gloves on, you couldn't do it. So we had a few failures, but I think we got there in the end. Yeah.
And again, as James said, so we started off. Obviously, we were with you from day one. We then, and again, I'm probably going to miss out, right? But we then with Michael and Jay, and we did that. And then we had Josh Waters. So when you went with Milwaukee, I used to love dealing with Josh Waters. I always went with Josh Waters, and you'll remember this. Such a lovable lad.
Oh yeah.
And I know he struggled on a lot of the British tracks, but when it was wet, he was up there. And I always remember he won. It might have been Browns. I think he won 2 races that year in the wet, but he won a race. And he messaged me, said, "Chris, I'm so sorry. I got my wet visor on. It didn't have Express." And I'm like, "Mate, I couldn't fucking care. To see you up on the podium, I'm happy. Just to see that and see that you're happy again." So yeah, but yeah, so that really started the whole fuel buy, and then you know, the vans and it all. Yeah, so really that was I suppose really quite a turning point with that. And then obviously it was great for us when you then came back into the BSB, because that was on Milwaukee, wasn't it, if I remember correctly? When
it was, yeah.
Yeah, and I always remember I talked about Dale at Milwaukee, and again I don't want to get anyone in trouble and say too much, but Dale and Sean, 2 guys I love dealing with, because they're very much, you know, Dale especially, you'd phone up, it'd just be like, "This is what I want to do. Can we do this?" And it'd just be very much just I'm not into contracts and stuff. It'd just be, "Yeah, can we do that?" And again, James, you messaged me before the season started to say, "This guy Dale, this is our new sponsor, Milwaukee." I was like, "The fuck's Milwaukee? You know, I'm not a tall person. I know nothing about them. He needs a coffee machine for their new offices." And I remember he sent me his number. I phoned Dale, told Dale what I thought he wanted. He went, "Yeah, sounds good." I was like, I was halfway through my pitch. Like,
I remember.
"Yeah, that sounds good." "Well, yeah, just get me an invoice over." I was just like, this guy's just wasting me time. Just so like, "Yeah, whatever, just get me an invoice over and get that." So that started the relationship with Dale, and then obviously with the Milwaukee, we were with the Milwaukee team, and I think later on we kicked out a lot of their tool stores for Dale. So you know, Milwaukee was one of our biggest customers while they were going through that phase.
I remember seeing it on your whiteboard when I came in the office once, and you had like the numbers of who
biggest
supplied the more stuff to. Milwaukee was there at the top.
They were at one stage when we were doing that for them. It was a thing they were doing. Again, a bit like the Honda Cafe was there. I think it was like their 20 best tool stores. The idea was we did Milwaukee coffee machines. So when someone came in, they were sort of being drawn to the Milwaukee end of the tool store, not the DeWalt end. I think that was the gist of it.
Yeah.
And that's what we did. And they had a little screen on it, and you could enter competitions. Again, it was basically like the Honda Cafe was. It was the same thing to get data capture. And Dale, though he's a bloody bugger to get hold of when you want it, but he's so. I tell you this, is when we won the championship with Josh. I've got with Josh Brooks, sorry.
Yeah.
I always remember this. Dale was pissed because we won the championship, and he said to me, "Remind me, you're going to the Bahamas next April, or you know, in April coming." And I was like, "Yeah, do you know that?" He said, "Yeah, I know. You mentioned it." He said, "Remind me. Call me Monday. I'm too pissed to do it." He said, "Remind me Monday when all this has died down. I know the main guys over there, and we get you upgraded.
Oh,
And
wow.
bloody hell, he did. So we got married out there, and we go back every 5 years normally for our anniversary. And Dal had organised, and I got to say, you know, he knew one of the head butlers, absolutely looked after us, honestly. So I've got a lot of time. And again, it goes back to, these are people we've met over the years that have just, you know, helped us sometimes far more than we've helped them. So, you know, Dale and Sean, we're still with Sean, obviously, in World Superbikes. And, you know, Sean's another one. I always admired Sean because, as you mentioned just then with the Swan Days, every year there'd be something, not every year, but quite often there'd be something, oh, he's only got one rider. Next year he's only got one rider. And I know Higgsy gets involved, and you know, he obviously does so much for the sport. But suddenly, Sean will be there. Got 2 riders team. We got this new sponsor. Guys always tell. I mean, Sean always said that, you know, Higgsy helps so much. He's very good at putting people together, and it's all to make the championship and it work. And I think it's brilliant. So yeah, I still love dealing with Sean. You know, he keeps threatening to fly in here at some stage, but he'll turn up. And yeah, so
Always so busy, isn't it?
yeah, and again, it's just you know, we've had so many riders over the years, and like I said, I would say pretty much all of them. It's yeah, we had Tommy Bridewell for a while, and you know, and it's Tommy. I know he's a bit. I always say Tommy's a bit of a marmite, really, because I generally liked him. I knew he could be. I knew he could say the wrong thing at the wrong time, but I did warm to him, his family and Stacey and stuff like that. And whenever there'd been a bit of an issue out of a crash, I always messaged him to say they were all right. And though I know, you know, people they're probably divided on this, seeing him win the championship and then doing the thing that he did on Ollie's grave, I just thought that really sort of, to me, just shows what he's all about deep down. You know, he's such a good guy. So yeah, Tommy, Josh Waters, obviously. McGuinness, Connor Cummins, obviously, is a really close friend of ours. Obviously, we spent a lot of time there.
Connor started his own coffee business up for you guys as well, didn't he?
Yeah. So again, McGuinness. I mean, I knew Connor obviously from like you do, but I think John sort of said to Connor, you know, poor old Connor, all he wanted to do was start a little coffee van out in, you know, do events, and then got stuck talking to me. I was like, no, mate, what we need to do. So we helped Connor set up the whole Coffee Man business, and again, it's such a pleasure to deal with. And yeah, originally he wanted to just do events, and I sort of said, yeah, but there's only so many events you can do. You're swapping your time for money here, aren't you? Because you've got a race. And I said, if you can sell the coffee machines, people are selling the coffee for you. You know, that's the way forward. And yeah, I mean, as I said, I speak to him most weeks, or certainly every other week. But he was funny in the early days because. And I always remember this. He phoned me once. I was working late at night, and he phoned me up, and we'd had a conversation. I remember him saying, and I've said this to him before. He said, "Oh, what you do is so exciting." And I said to him, "You take the fucking piss. You ride down the roads at 200 miles an hour, and you're telling me what I do is exciting." Yeah. So we've had, we've helped on kind of, you know, it's his own business, and we helped him sort out the cafe in Ramsey. Because we were over there, so what we try and do when we have more time is we'd go over there probably a couple of times a year, spend some time with Connor and help him get the business going and various different things with the business. And Tristan had trained the staff and get involved with the engineers. But this particular time we'd gone over, and as you know, with the Isle of Man in particular, we'd gone over there for, I think, like 2 days, haven't we, one night, with 2 pairs of pants between us, staying with Connor. This is before they had the girls. And as usual, flights fucking cancelled because there's wind or whatever it is out there
normally,
and he's just doing this cafe, and he's backwards and forwards with the I'm sure I'm all right to say this, with the leasing guy, the owner. And Connor, bless him, he's such a lovely fella. He's so I got so much time for him, and he was like, oh well, you know, I don't want to, we're waiting for the change of usage through the planning to change it, because like an optician's to a cafe and everything. And I was like, right, okay, well, you've got us here, we're stuck here living with you, we might as well get cracking on. Yeah, well, what if we get knocked back? And I said, text the bloke, see if he's bothered. That bloke came back and said, look, rip it all out, it's got to come out anyway, because it's, and he went, oh, I don't know whether to do it or not, and you know, what if I said, look, for a fucking rider that rides round like you do,
yeah,
you're a bit of a wuss, aren't you? And again, because I do wind him up a bit, And I sent them up the road to go and get some tools. And we got a film of Tristan just running through the walls because they were like prefab plaster walls.
Oh, shit.
And by the time he got back, I said, "We're too late now, mate."
Oh my God.
Oh, gee.
There was just plaster everywhere. But off the back of that, we met their chief minister off the back of that. Because it then turned out that the cottage we've been renting for the last few years was Howard Quayle's. And Connor, bless him, was having a lot of problems out there because the sort of coffee company on the island were trying to shut him down as soon as they found out he was trying to set up, and they were going to all the suppliers saying don't deal with him, which was just really wrong. Anyway, I messaged the Quayles, and I just messaged them, I'm like, messaged them, said, look, you lot are involved with some sort of government stuff because I see your Facebook, you've got big hats on, and could you help Connor? We need to try and give him a bit of a push with credibility on the island. And they said, yeah, look, love to, anything we can do to help. So I went to Connor, Connor, I've got this lot on board, the Quayles. And he just came back with this, the Quayles, all these exclamation marks. He said they're like, one of the ancient families of the island. Which Quayle? And I just went through and said, some bloke called Howard.
Oh, wow.
He said, that's the chief minister. He said, the equivalent of your prime minister. Are you sure? And I was like, yeah. I had the bloke stood behind Connor's cafe when he opened, serving coffee. He's such a lovely fella. Did so much for the island. So again, the people we've met is what's made it for us. So
Yeah.
I could waffle on all day, but yeah.
That's cool, mate.
As you say, though, it's not, without the hard work that he's put in behind the scenes. I think anyone that's friends with both of you on Facebook will see that you're up at 4 o'clock most mornings.
Yeah, dude, there's times where I've got up at 3 in the morning to go for a pee, and it's like, flick through my phone, whatever, just because I'm bored.
Off to the gym.
Chris Palmer's just done a 6-mile walk. Like, fucking hell, what are you doing? It's 3 in the morning. That's it seems like a normal average day for the three of you, really. I mean, yourself, Tristan, and Owen, if he comes back from work. What is it that just keeps you going, like keeps you focused on just grafting all the time? If you could bottle it, mate, you could sell it for a fortune, trust me.
Yeah, I mean, Tristan, I need to bring you in a bit, mate, because you're the one sort of taking over now. Apparently, so I keep getting fucking told by these two, is I'm obsolete now. So they keep trying to sort of palm me off. It's like, right, yeah, you just go and sit over there, Dad. We'll do the rest. You're not needed. So,
surely that's a good thing. You put your feet up for once.
Yeah, but it's that thing, isn't it? It's like when I thought about retiring. I was going to retire this year. Because I was turning 50, and I thought, but it's like, I don't think I could. And now the boys are trying to sort of palm me off.
Not ready to pass the baton on yet.
Yeah, not yet. So come on, Tris. Why do you work so hard?
I don't know, really. It's kind of been built in you, isn't it? For me, it's, I guess sometimes you just don't know anything different. So for me, it's just everyday life. It's the same as waking up. It's just what I do. I don't, I enjoy what I do, so I don't really think of it as work. So I guess also is if you then know what you want out of life, what you want in life, that then gives you the reason to do it. I wouldn't, I'm very fortunate with what I can do and what I've done, and like hobbies and stuff like that. I'm lucky to be able to do that. But I guess also without putting in the hard work, I wouldn't be doing it. So for me,
yes.
Sorry, Karen.
No, sorry. I was going to ask, what aspect of the business then do you kind of look after? Because I know obviously Owen is off kind of, he has his own construction company, but what exactly is your role kind of in the business now with the coffee end of things?
Yeah, so about so when I left school, all I wanted to do was build motorcycles. That's all I was interested in. From the age of 13, I learned how to weld, and then just taught myself and started building little bikes and stuff. And then, when I left school, I just started working for him. I remember just sweeping the floors, labelling, just crap, basically.
Tell me how much you got paid, because this will be a child labour thing.
I think my first wages worked out about 50p an hour.
Oh my God!
That was my first.
Chris, for fuck's sake.
We got you up to £1.80 when you were 19.
Well, I remember when my pay rise went up to I got £200 in a month, and I was quite happy with that. But what that then taught me was you had to make money other ways. legally. Just work. And so I started. So a friend of mine, his dad was selling a motorbike, and he was selling it for 50 quid. And I was and it's 50 quid. So for me back then it was a lot of money. I was like, should I just buy it? So I bought it. I turned that 50 quid into, I think that's I stripped it down, sold it for parts, and I made about 750 quid out of it.
Yeah.
So after that is what it taught me. In one day, I earned more than I earned in a month.
Yeah.
And that really is, it's from a book called Rich Dad Poor Dad, and that was the principle.
I've seen that. I've not read it, but I've seen.
So yeah, it's very interesting. It's about just really if you're just reliant on if you're earning good money, you don't ever need to think about looking elsewhere. So for me, and the way he brought me and Owen up was basically turn us into slaves, and we had to find the right way.
Yeah.
So
as Tristan said, the principle of Rich Dad Poor Dad was, and I brought them up to Graph from a really early age. I mean, Owen tells a story that I forget what he wanted, and I sent him out into the garden in the rain. He could have only been about 6, digging holes. And I was sat inside in the wall, but he was outside. You remember the little kids thing where it's like an all-in-one hood thing? And he's like knocking on the window, Dad, done another one. Go on, another one over there then, please. And then I made him fill them all back in again. And it was the principle, you want something, you earn it. I'm not buying it for you. That was always the principle. But so I always brought them both up to Graph. But we read Rich Dad, Poor Dad, which was recommended to me by a really close friend of mine, Matt Story, who's a very successful guy as well. And the gist of it was not swapping your time for money, because whatever job you've got, there's only so many hours in a day. You're going to swap the money, and there's only so much you can do. And it was all about trying to understand assets, portfolio income, and then passive income. So one of the things that made me realise very early on is, rather than paying them a good wage, which we could have done, being his family, you want to look after your kids, but it was like, actually that's not the right thing to do, because if he's got decent money and we could have paid him decent money, could have gone out and bought a nice car and everything else, what's that teaching him? It's not teaching him to look anywhere else outside our little envelope. So the idea was, and genuinely, I think we worked out once he was paid £1.80 an hour, and we only increased his wages to what I call a proper wage, I reckon 2 years ago, because the point was, if you want to earn money, and we will support you and we will help you, but you need to be the one to start it. And that was where you then, run these little businesses, and he said with the cars, but then start his own rental company.
Yeah. So like for me,
is that the Fresh to Go?
No, that's Tristan James. So he does the rental machines. So in BSB now, that's now Tristan. So Tristan's taken over that whole thing, and locally rents machines out to different people.
Yeah. So yeah, it started from doing the bikes, and I was very lucky enough. So he just mentioned Matt, and on my 18th birthday, Matt. I met him at a hotel cafe thing, or like the bar, and we sat down, and he went through like my business plan and all that blah blah, and what I was doing, how I was making the money, and how I was selling it on eBay and stuff like that. And then, as when I was 16, I bought my first Porsche, and that's where I really learned what a barn find was.
Yeah, we learned the hard way what a barn find means when it turned up on the train. It's like, didn't look like that in the picture, did it?
Yeah, because I actually bought that while I was in Ireland for the Northwest. I bought on eBay. There was 2 being sold. One had all the logbook, all history, and then the one I stupidly went for had nothing. Said it needed a fuel pump, and it needed a lot more than that. But then what I ended up doing was, so after doing the bikes, I signed up this auction company, and I found there was a 924S up for sale. I bought it for like 400 quid. And I wanted just to get the interior, I wanted to get the parts and stuff to finish my one. So I did all that. And then when lockdown started, I really wanted to buy a Boxster. And I really wanted to get the new shape. But what I decided was if I went back a car, so what did I buy? 99 Boxster. So I could then make a jump and go to like a Ferrari or something like that. What I did was I was like, well, how do I buy the car without having to actually pay for it? So what I did was,
you can't steal it,
and I can't steal it. And you've got to be clever with things like that. So what I did was I got all the parts left of the car, and I spent literally a day just cleaning everything up. It was just a Sunday, cleaning all the parts up. I sold all the parts, and that literally paid for the Boxster and paid for me to get fully serviced and everything when I got it back. So so the car basically cost me nothing. All I had to do was put a little bit of hard work into it.
So you literally had your first Porsche at 16, your
second one was 18, and then I got the Ferrari at 21. And then, but yeah, so when I was 18 or something like that, I set up the rentals, and what I started doing was getting old crappy machines.
Don't say that. Dave was your first customer.
old machines, stripping them down, and then making them like new again. So literally, they could be like the crappiest looking machines, and I'd just make them look brand new, you know. And I'd spend literally my nights, so spending my days working for him, doing whatever it was, and then I would spend my nights actually doing
£2 an hour working for me.
And then I remember, I was thinking about this the other day actually. I remember when I was like, right, if I could just get 10 machines out there, I'll be happy. And that's all I want, just 10 machines. And then you get to 10 machines and think, if I could do another 10 machines, I'm going to be happy. And then you get to 20 machines and you're never happy. Yeah. It's like, right.
How many have you got out there now?
To be honest, I kind of lost count.
Between 75
yeah, it's one of them where you just keep moving forward, and then you're looking down other avenues as well. So me and Owen, we're now bought the house, so we're now doing the house as well. So it's just
watching the progress on that. That's good.
Yeah.
Yes, I can't really. I just Owen's labourer basically. I earn points, and I then go and do. I'm his little monkey. Yeah. So yeah, no, but it's really interesting learning, doing it, and it's hard work and it's a lot of hours. And Owen and his lads are doing really well there, making a lot of progress. So we just had the ceilings all plastered. That happened, I think that was this week. So yeah, that's going really well.
And that, funny enough, is a lad called Connor. Do you remember Connor, our boxer?
Yeah, the boxer. Yeah, so he was plastering it.
Yeah, so he was doing it. So if you remember Connor, our boxer. So again, we've stuck with him. He's another sort of lovely lad. So,
Connor Wright, isn't it?
Sorry,
Connor Wright.
That's it. Yeah. So he's our plaster now.
Yeah, so he's really good. He's done a really good job at that. So yeah, that's really what I've been doing there now. And also, it's just about, because when I first started, I wasn't then selling the products and stuff. So now it's like I do all the products as well. So basically, everything that the coffee machine needs, I do. Yeah. Then when I rented a few vending machines, and now I've just moved on to, before I just did bean to cups, and now I'm launching and doing the traditional side, so the proper barista style machine. So again, now trying to find a new side to it. So yeah, no, that keeps me busy. It's a lot of work, and
I think really with both boys was try to not just inspire them, but as I said, my thing was to teach them good, solid principles, and to work up, because it seems to be, and I'm not knocking anyone, but it's like it's an art that's no longer there anymore. But we get it when people come in and everyone wants this and they want that, and they all got their hand out. It's like, hold on, I want you to fucking grow up first. You grow up.
I want the title, but don't want the work.
Yeah, and it's it's 5 o'clock. I've got to go. It's like, no, the job ain't finished yet, and you've had 4 lunch breaks. So it's and I know, and I said they've got some great friends, but what I try to teach the boys is I got them to start writing their goals down every year. And they've been doing that since they're about 8 years old. And I've still got a couple. I found one the other day. And it was like, one of them said, buy more Lego. It was all about every year you write your goals for that following year. And as your goals get bigger, obviously, you break it up, don't you, to, well, I've got to do these 3 things to achieve that. So you get more goals. And I made them very goal orientated from an early age, realised I had to graph for everything, which is why it was always, we didn't really pay them much, because that whole thing is, if you get paid X amount, you will spend up to X amount each month, and then you'll never look for this other stuff. But again, going back to the people we've met, I mean, John Thorns used to spend, Cool's Milk, John, he used to spend time with Tristan going through business plans. You saw him not so long ago, and we've met other people off the back of John and off the back of Matt. So I think a lot of it, it might sound like child labour, but when I was younger, and I wasn't bright enough, I wasn't born into a family that my mum and dad worked really hard and had jobs. So I never knew anyone that had their own businesses. So I kind of always wanted to do it, was too scared to leave a good job and go and do it. But with the boys, it was about teaching them that every spare pound you've got, you want to try and make that into £2. And then that £2 and £3 and so on. And even though, and it's not that money's everything by any means, it's not all about material things, but if you can look after yourself and you can build these things, but then always remember where you've come from and help other people at the same time. And wherever you can help. I mean, when we started doing the homeless stuff, I mean, you were 16 then, traveling. I think you travelled on your scooter in a Father Christmas outfit that day, because we were going out doing stuff at Christmas with the homeless. It was always about just remember, keep your feet on the ground, and remember to, as you're trying to do well, just remember people perhaps, might fall by the wayside, might be a problem they're going through, it might be, but do what you can to make sure you're giving something back.
Yeah, because I guess for me as well is I wasn't really, I still don't consider being one, but I wasn't really an entrepreneur when I was younger. It's always Owen. Owen was the Dell boy. Owen was the one.
Oh, he's the brains of the
outfit, isn't he? He's the one that always was. And I think about it sometimes, and I think that I'm fortunate because I've been guided and I've been pushed, and I've got the so many people to sort of not lean on, but that have really showed me the direction. But it's always been Owen's a natural one. I reckon if it wasn't for my dad, I probably would have gone my own way, but in later years. I reckon it'll probably be in my 30s by the time I would have thought, actually, let's start doing something. Whereas Owen's always been literally Del boy selling sweets at school.
Yeah.
And
he had a bloody good business. He had a really good, he was like a legal drug dealer. So
he dropped them off their bags on the bus. I had to be his mule sometimes and take all the stuff.
Because the school realised what he was up to, and they tried shutting him down. Was really, school should be taking these kids and trying to help them in business.
He would pay them £5 a day
if they hit target.
But if they hit target, they got an extra £2 or something like that.
Wow.
It would drop them off their bags. They had to then go sell the stuff and bring it back to him, so he'd fit it back up.
It's kind of lucky he didn't become a drug dealer, because he was literally.
It was.
Everyone in his school had diabetes.
They all had a wallet, and in each wallet had enough money for change and stuff. Yeah. And he counted the money when he got it back. But he was the smart one and still is.
Yeah, and he's the only person we know that actually does algebra, because he had to do it for he's a qualified electrician as well. And so basically our old office, Owen took over and rebuilt and made it his workshop originally before we got this place. And I remember going in there like you do. I'd gone in there and he got this board and it had all this, in my view, gibberish on it. Y3 add Y something equals this. Well, me with my mentality, I wiped it all off and just drew a massive picture of boobs. Turned out that was ready for his exam.
Oh my God!
That was all algebra, something to do with electrical stuff, and it was like, oh, sorry, you did take a picture before I did that. It was like, no, Dad, I needed that. It's like,
oh my God.
So Owen's one of these people that can watch it on YouTube or read something, and he doesn't just regurgitate, he gets it and he understands it. Whereas me and Tristan are the two thick twins, aren't we, really?
Yeah.
And we're sort of like, what do you say again? What does that do?
Anything like writing or anything like that, reading, I'd say, I can read just, but I find that, like, for instance, doing like exams and stuff, is if I'm reading a sentence, I add words into it, and I don't even know where the words came from.
No, I'm the same.
I literally I add actual words into the sentence that aren't even there, and don't know how I do it. So I do struggle with things like that. But I find practical is I can pretty much, that's easy for me. But then also pros and cons on, like, me and Owen is Owen's. I think Owen's more of a let's sit down and let's actually work out a plan. Whereas if I get an idea, I'm just full 200 miles per hour.
And you take after your dad then.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
There's no thinking, and it does work. There's pros and cons for both, because sometimes you do it. It's like, oh, I cut it a bit too short. My bad. Or sometimes you need to be that way so you can just get things done.
But just quickly on that, to give you an example of how, and I've always said to the term, they've got to stick together like a synergy, because they bring working together. They work so well. And for instance, I remember we had what was my dad's cement mixer, which had been going for ages. And like, you with your dad, it's like when my dad died, it's like, we're not getting rid of that cement mixer. Yeah. We're keeping it. This cement mixer didn't just go around, but it wobbled around and like the rest of it. And Owen, we were starting a job, and Owen was like, right, I'm going to have to rent a cement mixer because I don't want to get halfway through and this stops working. And he comes up with all these, that might happen, this might happen. I'm like, fuck all that. And so Tristan, fix the cement mixer. And Tristan went and got
a couple of minutes.
Got a lump of wood, jammed it into the back of his barrel, so it fixed it and just went round.
Oh.
That's still going now. That was 5 years ago. Whereas Owen would have stopped the job because in his mind he hasn't got the right tools.
Yeah.
That's how. So whereas Owen, I mean, phenomenally clever Owen, but whereas, and I was saying this when we were renovating the houses, is there's been times where it's like, Tristan, we can't, as in both boys, we can't stop what we're doing now to go and get the right thing. What have we got in amongst our stuff? That's where Tristan's just phenomenal. He will look at what we got and he'll make something to do the job. Now, there's certain jobs where that won't work, you know, depending what you're doing. But generally speaking, and that's what he's learned from the coffee machines. If you've got a coffee machine hospitality, that machine needs to work. You might not have the right part, but you need to keep that going till the end of the day. Everyone's happy, and then we'll get it sorted properly.
I guess for me as well, that's where I actually I think I prefer when you got, I don't know, let's say you got installed a machine or whatever, and you got like 3 weeks. It's just like
working under pressure. That's what we.
If you got, I need it like 3 days. Oh, that's where I'm really good. You know, I make it happen. I'll
kind
do
of thrive under sort of pressure nearly.
And that's where I find it more enjoyable. I find it, but that's where I really work well. It's like at the moment, so I'm doing trying to do some exams and stuff at the moment, and literally doing all the writing, I just can't do. I really can't do it. But if I'm actually physically doing it, I understand everything. I understand it. I get it. I can explain to them how you've got to do it. But when I'm reading questions, I don't know, you know, words like that long, and I don't understand what that word means. If it's not simple, I don't know. So I guess everyone's so yeah, everyone's different. But with me and Owen especially, that's where we work so well, is because we are opposites in a way, but for a good thing.
You need that though, you know, because if everyone had the same outlook, then nothing would ever get done because they wouldn't be able to, you know, relate to each other. I think that kind of leads us on to the next thing we wanted to talk about, because we also see, like, on your social media and from all your stories and stuff, you are daredevils as well as you know, hard grafters. But where, you know, you were saying your exams, and it kind of just jogged my memory of all the crazy things you have done away from the coffee machines. But where did the sort of the drive and the passion come from to go and I suppose get your pilot's license? Is that what you have? And boats you're now onto?
Planes, helicopters, skipper's license. Like, Jesus.
I don't have a pilot's license yet. That's what I'm doing.
That's you're working for.
Yes, that's what I got the 7 more exams to do. Basically, if it wasn't for the exams, it wouldn't be a problem. So, for instance, I don't think I flew for like 6-7 weeks, something like that, 6 weeks. And I just went up for only for an hour, just to try and keep it up. And he was like, we were just practicing stuff for skills tests and stuff like landing on slope and ground and all that kind of stuff. And he said, you know, flying is I'm well over what they would pass you for. So, so my actual practical side is great. But during the exams is, you know, I kind of, because I don't take the stuff, because I don't find it interesting, I don't take it as serious. So you only get 3 chances to pass 9 exams. I already wasted 2 of them. So I've got 1 chance now to another 7. So
seeing as Owen's a bit of a businessman as well, can you not pay him a little bit of money and let him do the exam?
Mate, this is probably the next step, because what we said was I didn't realise all this, but so it was Matt that got me into flying, and Matt flies, and it was lovely because Matt had messaged me. So, what are you up to? Do you fancy coming out for lunch? And he
took us to the Isle of Wight for pizza.
Yeah, we went to the Isle of pick us up. Off we go, Isle of Wight, go and have a bit of lunch, and then fly us back again. And it was great. And I sort of pushed the boys to say, right, so we got on a trial flight lesson in the R44, which is a 4-seater, Robinson, and Tristan decided to continue it, and Owen decided to go. So Owen flies planes. So Owen decided to start flying planes. Tristan does helicopters. But what I never realised was, so you've got so many written exams to do, and obviously then you've got the practical side. Well, Tristan's done the practical side and done what they then do, which is when you fly solo. So Tristan flies a helicopter by himself, and then there's certain exams you've got to do where you fly off to different places and stuff. But you've still got to, before you get your full license, you've got to have done all the things, you know. Like, I mean, one of the things you struggle on a little bit is navigating. Tell them how you get places, Tristan, because I find it's always what route you take.
Yeah, so
you fly the M25s, don't you?
The exam I'm actually doing at the moment is my navigation exam. And my principle of it was, so basically I've done my solo. That was fun. That was good. And
Local area?
no, so what I've now got to do is, before I can do my local area solo, I have to do my navigation exam. And basically that's just so they know they're going to get the helicopter back officially. Is but my idea was, so I did, because you practice with an instructor, I just literally remembered everywhere I know. So basically, depending on which side you leave the airfield, you got Point Bravo and Point Alpha. If I left at, I think it's Bravo. If I left there, all I know is I've got to fly till I see some train tracks, turn left, follow the motorway until I see a big football dome, then turn left again.
Watford training grounds.
Follow that until I get to the M25 M1 junction, then turn left and follow the M1 until I get to the A4 something. Follow that, and then I'm back at Elstree. So I just remember, this is how I learn. I learn by I remember structures. I remember, and also I can do that easily on my own. I know how to do it. I'm just not allowed to do it yet because I haven't done my exam.
Yeah, the word you learn up in France, wouldn't they?
Yeah, exactly. So that's quite fun. I've done, I think it's now 3 hours of solo, so that's quite good.
And you've got to do 10 for your full
so you have to do 5 solo just circuits, and then you got to do 5 traveling basically. So local area. Also, you have to fly to other airfields and land, get them to sign your certificate, and fly to the next one, get them to sign it there to prove that you've done it. Because this is the other thing. Again, I guess this is where I work a lot different to other people. Is because I was going through the exam, they're like, you need to understand all this map reading. I'm like, why? You've got sat navs now. It's easy. Yeah. And they were like, okay, well, they gave me an example, and apparently someone went up flying, and it's called Sky Demon. Apparently that failed because it got so hot. It's like a greenhouse in there. You're basically in a massive glass bubble.
iPhone shuts down, doesn't it?
And it shut down because it got too hot. And and the guy panicked, and I was like, well, that's easy. So in my head, I've already come up with different options on how to do it. It's like, one is, for me, if I was flying, I'll just literally go on Google Maps, because I said, look, you got the map in there with you. He's like, well, how do you know where you are? I was like, oh, easy. For me, this is where I find it fun. This is where my element of fun is.
This is why you're more practical, because you use a practical way of getting back rather than the...
And also, it's like that stress. You're not stressed, but you got, it's everything's happening at that once. You've got to deal with it then, and that's where I work really well. So for me, I was like, right, I'll just get my phone out, log on to Google Maps, and that just gives you that will pinpoint where you are. So that means all I've got to do is look at the map and go, oh, right, so you could see St Albans there. So I now know roughly where I am on the map. That then gives you the fly zones that you're allowed to go into. So for me, I find that. And then the other thing, I was like, hold on a minute. You could just ask for help. You just go on the radio and say, look, can you tell me where I am? And all they do is tell you, just guide you back. Yeah. So for me, I find that stuff, it doesn't really faze me.
But this is, it's like, it's always like, it reminds me like when we were kids, you pass your car test, don't you? And then you start learning to drive, and they just go, get it passed as they want, and then you go out in the real world. And I think and at the moment, that's what you're trying to do to get through that.
And also for me, it's like I've got basically in my mind on 3 things that would happen is what I just said then you ask, you just go through the radio. Or worst case, it's like the old Del Boy where they're on their way to Hull, land somewhere and ask for directions. Land in a farmer's field. You don't know where Elstree is, do you? And then, it's that way. Right, see you later.
So I think just go. With us, a lot of what I've tried to push the boys was experiences. So and again, some people might look at what we do that, I am very controlling, which I think you have to be when you run a company. Otherwise, you'd work for someone, wouldn't you? And so I think with them, it was always about push them to do things, whether they wanted to do it or not, until they'd done enough of the particular thing, and then decide, actually, I like doing this, or no, I don't want to do it. But at least you tried it, and that was always the thing. So with them,
because I flew to the office, actually, that was quite fun.
Yeah,
that was my first navigation, and I really got that because I was doing it and I found it interesting. And because in my mind, I was just going to fly up the M1, follow that until I get to junction 14, and then turn left.
He stops at traffic lights and everything.
Exactly. You just hover there until it turns green, then you go. But for me, that's what I was going to do. But then something I didn't consider, which is, again, I get why you got to know it, is that means you've got to then fly through controlled airspaces because of airports. So you've got Luton, which means you've then got to wait until they give you permission to then cross.
You held up EasyJet.
So I had to then learn how to then we flew around it all. So that was really interesting. But how they do it, and this is something I found fascinating because I actually was doing it. Before, when they were telling me, I didn't care and I didn't understand it. Basically, all you do is you got a map and you draw a straight line. You then basically go, right, if I was flying 80 knots, how many minutes is that going to take me to get that many miles? And then what you do is on your map, to make your life easier, when you're flying, so let's say, I don't know, I was flying from Milton Keynes to, I don't know, Coventry, massive straight line, you know, so what is it, like 45 minutes driving. So it's just a straight line there. And let's say it's going to take X amount of minutes to get there. What you do is you set the timer on while you're flying. It goes, right, in, I don't know, let's say 10 minutes or 20 minutes. In 20 minutes, I've now got to look back at the map to see what I'm going to do. And then it's like, right, and that's how you literally, all you've got to do is fly straight. You literally fly wherever the, what's it called? The compass says, you know, whatever your direction is, fly straight. And it could be for 10, 20 minutes or however long you got to fly straight for. And then you just pick the map up again and then fly whatever direction you got to go again. So it's really interesting how
it's very simple.
I know.
yeah. And it is actually quite simple and it's quite interesting. It's just
getting through the
reading
exams.
about it.
We found, and the examiners are saying that, you know, he knows it, but when you get asked a question on a bit of paper, your mind just goes all over the place. So so I think, but with a lot of the stuff we do, as I say, it's experiences, and what we were trying to do is, because we mix business and pleasure. You know, we done one where we were out at one of Tristan's customers, and it's that wing walking place, you know, where they stand on top of the airplane and they fly off, and they sort of said, "Oh, do you fancy going?" And again, because I don't think, because I'm not very clever, he was like, "Sounds like that. It sounds good to me." Forgetting the fact that I'm absolutely terrified of heights, like properly terrified. Yeah. But they strap you onto the plane and then they take off. I was like, that's not too bad. I'll just get on there and I can't do nothing about it. And
yeah, it's terrifying.
That was.
Really?
Oh my god!
I couldn't imagine
that sounds horrible.
So basically, because I'm so short, and you got this little thing you sit on, is my feet couldn't touch the floor properly, so they touch the top of the thing. So I'm like on tiptoes, and it's so basically it's a massive grass runway, and it's just so bumpy. You're going along like that, and then they take off, and they're just going. It's like being on a motorbike. They're just
first bit's
like
really cool because you're literally low down, going like this, and I in my mind to stop myself being scared was like, it's just like being on a motorbike. This is quite cool. I'm only, you know, probably a few hundred feet off the ground max. But then they'd said this thing to me, and I'd said to them, "Don't go too high because I am terrified." And they said this, "Oh, we got to do what they call it, the roller coaster. We've got to do the roller coaster." And I was like, "Yeah, can we leave the roller coaster, just concentrate on the low roller coaster, maybe the kids ride?" And then they've done this thing where suddenly what they do is they fly and they just go straight up like that until the plane gets to the point where it starts stalling and stopping, and then they come down. And it's to show you the G-force difference, where, you know, like on a roller coaster where you feel like you've left your stomach and your balls on top. Yeah. And it's like, we'll get to 1,000 feet. I was terrified, mate. It's like, I was just like, I can't believe it. Anyway, we got off. Tristan was not feeling too well, you know.
Well, yeah, actually, I rephrase that. It wasn't terrifying. It was, funnily enough, is I actually get quite travel sickness when like flying in small planes. Even on a helicopter, I can get travel sick. And I hadn't eaten that day, and literally I was fine. And then he did the roller coaster thing, and I was just like, I felt so ill.
I made you quite ill that day, and then so I was right back to work then. So he was like sitting there like white as a sheet like that as I was driving, and we had to get back to work.
But it was a good thing, because things like that, I'm not terrified of heights or anything like that. Not really terrified.
It was a great experience. Again, it was another little thing, tick off the old list. And then we've done stuff like, I come up with this bright idea. So I set him a target that he had to climb all 3 peaks by the time he was 21, so before he hit 22. And we done it with Jim, didn't we? I'm terrible with bloody names.
Walker?
Jim Walker.
True Heroes.
True Heroes. Racing.
Oh, yeah, good.
Lovely guy. I'm not allowed to say which department he was with, because I always end up saying he was SAS. I'm not going to say that. But he set up his own sort of events business, didn't he?
Yeah, we did this, a couple of years ago, and I've still not got nothing good to say about it. So I was miserable. I was weird. The first one we did, it was in the snow, and
we did Scarfell.
Yeah, and it was.
It's probably, I've got to say, the 3 experiences. So we did that one, and because he gave us a list of clothes we had to buy. We turned up, we still had labels on them, and I'm not joking. So you still got your label on it. It's like, and I was going in there going, £200 for a fucking pair of boots. When you could use them 3 times. And I was phoning him from the what was it, Go Outdoors, going, can I not buy these ones? These ones say what? No, he said, I'll tell you now, if you buy the cheap ones, it'll be out on you. So I'll buy these bloody things.
We went up there dressed like literally Eskimos.
Yeah.
And I'm not being funny. I can understand how people die.
Yeah, because we got hit.
Cold.
It was just like we were up. We were right. You know, we didn't. Oh no. So we were at the top,
but we didn't put where they put the flag.
And there were people up there in like tracksuit bottoms and stuff like that. And we got caught in like this blizzard thing. I'm not even joking. We got caught in this blizzard on the way back because it was either do we go back the way we came or do we go the scenic route? I thought it's a nice day, so I then chose to go the scenic route,
which was far
because
longer.
it wasn't as steep. And yeah, wrong decision. And we got caught in this thing, and yeah, it was so cold. It was pelting your face.
What makes it worse is I've got a snapped tendon in my quad, so the front part of your quad, which I always forget what it's called, the tendon's still on the kneecap, but it's snapped off the muscle. So it's like it looks like someone's carved a bit out with a bloody ice cream scoop. So coming down is worse than going up. And I was like, look, I'll do it with you because I'm getting on a bit. So, you know, if I don't do it, I'll never do it. So we did Scarfell. I fucking hated every step of the way, but we did that. Then we then did Snowdon. And I sort of said, so we done Snowdon at night. And that was all right. Got up there, couldn't see a bloody thing. Couldn't see your hand in front of your face. So the whole thing was to see the world wake up. Because I love being up before the sunrise and seeing all that.
Oh, that was worth it.
Yeah, so did Snowdon.
Was the last one? Ben Nevis.
Then we did Ben Nevis. And I said, I know what we do. We've got a load of jobs up there. We'll get a load of the jobs done, and then we'll go and do the meet Jim, and then and we did that as a night climb. And what Jim sent us a list, right? You got all your kit, haven't you? Yeah. He said, right, go to we were in a hostel because we couldn't find hotels in this hostel. Go and carb up, and then meet me at the car park. Well, I just went out. We had kebab and chips, which we now know was not the right thing to eat before you climbed up.
That is not carving up, mate.
And
yeah, so
you didn't speak for the first 2 hours.
We
I woke him up. I said, "Come on, Jess, we're going up a mountain." He was like, "Oh."
I'm not going to lie. I'm not a morning person, and I'm very.
I've made you do that. I'm not.
So if you've ever seen Friends, when Chandler answers the door to Monica and Rachel banging the thing and his ears all over, that is me.
Yep.
I don't speak, and it was midnight. We met yet. I didn't. I think after about 2.5, 3 hours walking up, he then got a grunt.
Yeah.
I was not in the.
I was just
in. Yeah, and it was like, and the thing with Jim is, he's very like positive. It's like, yeah, when we go up there, it's gonna be amazing. Let's see the sunrise, blah blah. It was foggy. I couldn't see anything. I'm like an idiot abroad.
Yeah.
I'm mate, just like that.
He is.
I used to love watching that.
Mate,
Yeah.
honestly, when you watch Idiot Abroad, that's him. I took him to Hadrian's Wall once.
Miserable.
Right? We were
Literally.
going across country, and I kept seeing the signs for Hadrian's Wall. So I'd take you there. So we pulled into one. Got out, said, "You got to understand what this all is, Hadrian's Wall." And he just went, "Just a bunch of rocks. I don't get what the interest is." Like, no, you don't understand. It's like, Dad, just get back in the car. I won't go. And it's like, it's just like that is literally what he's like. And we got to so we done Ben Nevis. And again, for me, I hated every step, but it's that feeling that you've achieved at the end.
I'm going to say, it's worth it when you get back. That's the thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
I still don't believe
it.
Really?
I'll tell you just a thing on Ben Nevis, actually, because I try wherever I can when I'm helping people, and certain people with struggles and stuff like that, with various different things. And I've always said it's always about not just reflection, but also, you know, everything's different, isn't it? You know, it's like we're very lucky, and we go out some nice spots. We were in Mayfair a couple of days ago for our lunch down there with Matt and all these other people, and I was saying to them, the best breakfast I've ever had in my life, and we've been out some amazing places, was on the top of Ben Nevis, because I was shattered, I was wet, I was cold, and Jim had brought up the old cooker and brought out these little ration packs. And that breakfast I had, because it was the right thing at the right time, is the best breakfast I've had in my life. And it's just about it being relative. Everything in life is relative, you know. So that to me, and it just sort of, I like to sometimes just remind myself that, you know, what life's all about, really, which is why it's why I tend not to sleep. I sleep when I'm dead. You know, I literally see sleeping as an absolute waste of time. I sleep enough to stay healthy, and that's it. That's all I needed to do.
Yeah, I remember listening to, it was Eddie Murphy actually, and this actually stayed with me. And he said, so obviously when you're young, you think you got loads of time. It was like the average person only sees 75 summers, 75 winters, 75 autumns, etc. And when you actually put it into that, rather than 75 years, you only actually see 75 summers. It's true, and it makes you then remember. As I was doing solos, I was just building up solo hours. I was flying around and I was bored, and and when I get like that, I just start saying, "Oh, I wonder how fast I can take this thing," and stuff like that. And I'm then just like, just in my own little world, thinking, "Oh, this got another circle." But then it's like you just got to remember is, there's people. It's like them photos you see on Facebook of the guy in the wheelchair looking down at someone walking down the street saying, "I wish I could walk." Him looking at someone on a pedal bike saying, "I wish I could ride that." So, all the way to the guy in the car looking at the Ferrari, looking at whatever it is. And it's so true. As I'm not there, you have to give yourself a slap sometimes. I'm lucky enough just to sit in one of these things, let alone to now fly it on my own. Same probably like for you is, I'm guessing when you're racing, sometimes it could probably another set. How many more have I got left to do? Whereas for people watching, it's, I'd love to do just one lap. I'd love to even walk the track. So
I always say to these two that this is why I get up early. I have to be up before the sunrise. I love to watch the sunrise. I'm just chuffed to wake up. There's a lot of people that won't wake up that particular morning, and so I feel that just for me to have done that, anything else happens in the day, I don't care when people go, "Oh, it's raining." I don't care. I don't care. It could be a blizzard. I'm alive. That's the first bit done and ticked off the old list. And then, as I say, with these two, it's about then just remembering what we've got, not remember what we haven't got. It's all very well, as I say, setting goals and everything else. But I think sometimes in life, we very quickly forget what we've got, what we've already achieved, instead of looking constantly for what's in the future.
What's next, yeah. I think it helps me, mate, looking at your page as well. Just, I wake up some mornings, I don't want to get out of bed, I don't want to go to the gym or go to work or whatever it might be. And then I'm like just flicking through, I'm like, "Oh, fucking hell, Chris is up again." Right, I'm up. And it just gives me like a bit more enthusiasm, to motivation. Motivation to look at it and go, "Yeah, do you know what?
I said
get up and go and do something." And
we were out in London on Thursday, so we were very nicely taken out by our friend Matt, who wines us and dines us and takes us out. And he was saying to me he was struggling with his training a little bit, and I said to him about it. I said the difference between success and failure is, and I've always said this, I love training, so we quite often walk from here to the gym. It's about 4 or 5k depending what route we take. So we normally try and get down here. If Tristan's not sleeping already, I try and be down here about 4:30, get some work done, and then leave for the gym and get that done. And sometimes we'll walk there. There's a floodplain, so we've ended up up to our waist in water because I forgot that it might be flooded. We've had to walk through that to get, and I'm like, I'm not turning around. We're doing it. We've done that. But the thing I love it when it's bad weather, because I look at it and think, what other moron is going to be up in the morning walking 5k to a gym, soaking wet, training, and I feel like an underdog. So I find that, and I was saying this to my friend, is getting up and doing what we do. So if you take the gym, getting up and going to the gym when you don't want to, that's the difference between failure and success. Because I have a mindset, I don't care what's going on, I will be in that gym.
Well, that's discipline, isn't it?
Is it? Okay, so discipline. So it's like literally, I will be there, I'll do it. On the days where it's like sunny and everyone wants to be, the gym's packed. It's like, well, what were you like, guys? When it's terrible and you don't. I mean, the gym we were training at, it had no heating, holes in the roof, not the one we're at now, Fierce. And no word of a lie, your hands used to stick to the bar.
I remember you talking about that.
Yeah, so and we'd still train, and I'd still wear shorts.
Put more clothes on when you got there.
Yeah, so it's like, and I would still train, and there weren't that many people in there in the morning. But it's like, we're here and we're doing what we've got to do. And then we'd come back. I've now got into all this cold showers, and I fucking hate the cold. But I've now got
the Wim Hof.
It's what? Sorry,
Wim Hof. That's the guy that.
Oh, is it?
Made it famous.
Yeah, you have to look it up. So basically, he said it's more of a health benefits thing, but it's like go to the cold and the cold won't come to you. So basically, just trying to keep your health. Yeah. I can't do it. I still can't do it. My mate Ross Connolly, he swears by it. 2 minutes every day. He'll have a cold shower. He'll have a normal shower and then turn it on.
That's what I do. So
freezing cold for 2 minutes.
I have the warm shower first, have a wash from the gym.
Oh, I do that.
And then very slowly.
I get in it after you and it's freezing.
Yeah,
but
so
I do it for my hair, so it's more luscious. And if I shave my legs, they come out soft. So it's not a health benefit; it's more of a vanity benefit.
So that's what I do. I turn it down, and the first couple of times I've had a shower fitting at work, so I can do it all here. and they could hear me in the hallway going, ah, oh, ah,
Yeah.
oh. So I've got where I can actually stand under it. I don't know if I'd ever do an ice bath, but I've got it where. But it's, I tell you what, I said to someone the other day, it's like climbing Ben Nevis. The feeling, I hate every second of being in there, but the feeling when I get out, and I'm convinced that all the research I've been doing about burning calories, which is obviously what I'm still trying to do, is burn a bit of blubber. Is they reckon that it's the best thing there is out there for burning body fat and calories and stuff like that. So
yeah, it kickstarts your metabolism, doesn't it? Because it has to kick in and kind of warm you up, and that burns more calories.
Yeah, so
I started to get into it. I couldn't do the shower, but I've started going to the lake with this group called Blue Mind Men.
Yeah.
And it's like to help with sort of mental health. It's a group of guys that kind of meet up at Windermere Lake.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter what even now, it's coming up to December and they'll still do it every Sunday. Turn up at 9 o'clock in the morning, you get there, you have a little chat, a bit of a get together, then just go for a swim in the lake. And the first couple of times I did it was fucking awful. I'd get up to my knees, and then as soon as it gets to your nether regions, you want to get out. Yeah. And then once you get past that to your chest, you start breathing fast. It's like, right, just keep calm.
I think
slow.
the breathing is the
breathing is the hardest bit, yeah. But then once you're in, like you said, it's cold, and then after a while, it kind of feels kind of warm because your body starts to heat. But as soon as you get out, it just feels amazing.
Yeah,
like I remember get up and hammer a lot of coffee in the morning.
Yeah, well, again, I don't watch things like the news and stuff like that, but I watch a lot of Joe Rogan, and he had a guy on there saying, and I think they were talking about, I don't know, like a 1 to 10 of highs from drugs to sex to chocolate to and a cold was like cold showers and cold.
Somebody said that to me as well.
And it literally was that high up, and they said, but where you've got crashes on the others, you tend to be on a high much longer, and it's so yes, I've started doing that. And then by the time I'm normally then, after all that, I've done all that, and I'm back in the office by about 7:30, 8, and then I'm ready to start the day. So for me, it sets me up for the day.
Yeah.
I think though, using kind of that metaphor that you used kind of a couple of times throughout that conversation, of climbing Ben Nevis, your own sort of personal life, Chris, as well, you did struggle for a while, and you've been very open about that. And how sort of, I think, even just from talking to you and seeing you now, like, I think how you kind of turned what was kind of maybe a slightly negative time in your life into such a positive, and the person you are and the inspiration you are to everyone around you today. How did you get out of that kind of place and, get yourself into the kind of how focused you are now?
So when I was in my teenage years, I was very much into weight training. And back then I wanted to be a bodybuilder or whatever it was I wanted to be, and I damaged my right wrist. And at the time, I'd been to, back then it'd be the doctors and hospitals, all NHS. And the long and short of it was, they told me that I'd never train again. And it was like, so I had a gym membership. So I thought, sod this, and I carried on training. And my girlfriend at the time used to call me Sparky Sparrowlegs. And I trained legs 3 times a week, calves 3 times a week, main legs twice a week. And I just built my legs until they overshadowed my top up, because it's like I wanted to get my money's worth out of this gym membership. And whilst I was in the gym, there was a guy in there who was all affiliated with the British Bodybuilding Association and knew all the top bodybuilders. And I remember him sort of saying to me, well, there's this new latest drug they're all on in America. And he called it Genabol. And he said, inject this, and it's got qualities in it to help repair. Now, at the time, I was prepared to try anything. So I took this drug and I started injecting it. And again, all hindsight now, I was probably, what was I then? Maybe 19, 20. And what he was doing was it was an injectable little ampoule. He was peeling the stickers off, unbeknown to me, called it Genabol. So when I was trying to research, because I don't like taking anything without a lot of research, I couldn't find the stuff. So I couldn't find it, so I couldn't research it. And it all fit with his story. It was so new, no one knows about it. It's all, all the top bodybuilders, right? Anyway, by the time I found out what it was, it turned out it was just morphine. It was morphine. It was used in hospitals and ambulances for head injury. It was called Nubane. So by the time I found out what it was, and this is what I was saying about addiction, the problem with addiction is by the time you actually you accept the fact you're an addict, you're way down there. If something could be done where people could understand they've got an addiction before the addiction kicks in, you get a lot of people nip it in the bud, but unfortunately you can't. So by the time I realised that of what the drug was, we found out that what the drug was, and because I started talking to other people, and they'd all been conned, all for different reasons. He'd given everyone a different bloody reason, this guy had, of what it did, and we were all on it. And again, being a complete dumbass, he was selling me these vials for £45 each. Turned out you could buy a box of 10 for like 50 quid. He was making a fortune. He's dead now, bless him. But yeah, it was by the time I realised, so it was a big, and back then, you know, it wasn't something you could openly discuss. You know, you couldn't, because I'm, you know, I live in a village, so I couldn't really go to the village doctor because you knew everyone in the village would know it by the end of it. So I couldn't really discuss it. So back then we had in Milton Keynes, you had what we called Pegasus, with the drug rehab clinic, and I went to them. But because it was it was genuinely quite a new drug, and no one had ever been addicted to this thing before. They couldn't get any information from the DuPont, which was the company that made it, and DuPont wouldn't accept it was possible to get addicted to. And you know, I've got a real bugbear with pharmaceutical companies and how they con everyone into stuff. So the drug rehab centre went through to DuPont to say, look, we've got a whole spate of people addicted to this, and they wouldn't accept it was possible to get addicted, so they wouldn't release the information so they could work out a plan of action to get us all off it. So, you know, that went on for a while. But you know, I was a drug addict, I would say, for 7 years. And I forget what they call it now, but I worked. I worked, I had a very good career. It didn't stop me doing that. But because it was a pre-med, you know, I was monged out a lot of evenings. So I slept quite a lot. And I wonder whether that's possibly why I'm so anti-sleep now, because I probably, you know, I might have slept for 10 hours at night and then worked and went to the gym. So that certainly was a part of my life where, when you're addicted to anything, I learned very quickly, perhaps not very quickly if it was 7 years, but I learned what the problem was. And I remember trying hypnotherapy, and I thought she was just going to wave a watch, and I was going to, that's it, solved, no effort, it's done. And I remember, and this really helped me learn about addiction. So what she did in the first week, he said, right, this first week between our appointments is, I want you to write down every time you take a shot. So I'd go home and, you know, I'd say, right, you know, I wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning to go for a wee, and I'd take a shot then, and then I have another one at 7, and then I have another one at 10, and worked it all out. And it was sometimes 10 shots a day. It was ridiculous. But so for instance, week 1, she'd go, right, what we need to do is next week, you're going to move the stuff downstairs. So when you wake up and take a shot when you're half asleep, not even realising you're doing it, we'd get rid of that one. And that straight away got me down to 9, say. Week 2 was, you're going to go down, before you have a shot, you're going to go downstairs, make yourself a cup of tea, have your cup of tea, and then you can have your shot. And so very slowly, and I said to you before, James, about obstacles, she started putting obstacles in the way that you weren't really thinking of. So you weren't sitting there thinking, I want my drugs, because, you know, the whole thing was that's all you could think of. Is very quickly, we started putting obstacles in the way without you even realising it. And over the course of probably about 2 months, we got it down from about 10 shots a day down to about 2. And it's like, well, that's what you're physically addicted to. That's where your body's saying, I need my fix.
So retraining your brain.
Yes, and she said, now we're trying to get you off 2 shots, not 10. Over the course of just doing that. So, and I had I got a female friend of mine. I haven't seen her for a long time, but she was an alcoholic, and I spent a lot of time with her trying to teach her. And I used to say to her, it's like having a devil and an angel on each shoulder. One is giving you advice. It is constantly putting you in the way of whatever your addiction is. And the other one's been sort of shouted out of trying to keep you off and put the obstacles in the way. And I was saying to her, look, go to the gym, take up swimming. I said, first of all, you're going to get healthy. But secondly, you can't have a bottle of vodka floating in the pool next to you. So you're trying to find things to keep your mind. Because I remember many a time I'd get through the day, I think, bloody, I've not even had a shot today because I've been so busy. I've not even thought about it. So yes, that really, that was I did a home detox, and I always remember that I did one home detox, and they gave you this stuff. You took these tablets, and they warned you to say, right, these tablets take 2 days to come out of your system. So the theory was for you to take a shot of your drug, you've got to wait 2 days. So you might think, I desperately need it. But you can't take it. You wait 2 days. By the end of the 2 days, you've got another 2, and you probably won't take it. And they said, don't ever take a shot on this stuff. And I just didn't listen. I was curled up in a fucking ball because of the way it reacted against the drug, because it's trying not to let the morphine hit. So I think I learned a lot about myself, and this is why I've always said the boys saved me, because towards the end of that, little Tristan here was announced that he was on the way, and as you know, James, I talked to loads of people about what's it like having a child, and no one could explain until that day they turn up and you hold that little person in your arms. There's no way of explaining, but suddenly it was like, yeah, I can't be fucking about with this, and my whole mindset changed really, and that's why I always say the boys saved me, because I was always in and out of trouble with the police, and I was just, I suppose, a little bit. I always had what I called my own morals, and my morals was I'd never rip off a person, and but I was a bit of a Robin Hood. If I could, do some bloody dodgy insurance claim and then help someone else out or entice them to, I was just a little bit wayward as a youngster. We were always doing, like, I'll give you an example where my moral compass was that got me into trouble. I bought a car and I traded my old car in. And back in the day, because youngsters will never understand this, you had your tax discs. You remember? You had your tax.
Oh yeah, the paper ones. Yeah.
We still have them over here.
Yeah, they haven't been around.
So
they haven't caught up to us yet, mate.
I traded my car in, which had full tax on it for the year. Got my new car, which is not taxed, and so I was like, well, I'll just put that in the other window because it's for the same amount of money. And I went through to the DVL, so, oh no, we can't refund that halfway through a month. We can only do 4 months. So I was like, you cheeky fuckers, why should I pay? And my whole thing, why should I pay you twice? I've already paid you for one car. This is the same style car. It's no more money. So me being me in my creative way, I used to be very good at defrauding back when I was a kid, and I cut the ink off with a razor blade very carefully off the tax disc and put a new number plate on it. Wow. When I then got caught, I got done for misuse of a tax disc and then fraud because I'd written the number off. And I suppose really the thing I learned from that, looking back at the time, I was like, you cheeky bastards, I've done nothing wrong as far as I'm concerned. But you realise that doing something flippant like that are the repercussions. And that's why then when I became a dad, it was about, right, I'm going to teach you not to do what I did. Yeah. And that was a lot of their life's lessons, is don't do that because this will happen, and don't do that because that will happen. And I think a lot of my things I was involved with, I used to do door work and stuff like that, and that's just trouble asking. This is back in the day, and I was never into fighting, but I was very good at seeing problems before they happen. So you'd see a couple of guys getting a bit rowdy, and you'd go and have a chat to them, and respectfully just explain to them what's going to happen, and sort of take them out rather than dragging them out an hour later. So I was very good at seeing things going on before they happened and getting a gut feeling. So again, been in that environment, and then with the drug side and stuff like that, it was not the best and most healthy life. I said I always had a good job. I bought my first Porsche at 25, and worked really hard and started buying houses. I was renovating houses at the time as well. I was a manager for one of the local estate agents. So I had a really good life, but I obviously had this other side of what was going on that I was struggling with. And I couldn't let anyone in my professional life know that I had these problems and struggles. I mean, I know it's a lot easier now to tell people what's going on, and everyone bends over backwards for you. But back then, I'd have been sacked. It wouldn't have been all this, oh, what can we do to help? Well, I'll see you later. Here's your P45. So as I said, the boys turn up certainly saved my life.
That's brilliant.
And obviously, we can see the bonds that you all have. Yeah. Like, you're like the three musketeers going around.
I would say we like the two musketeers, two morons, and the one musketeer.
He's like your guide.
Yeah. Just quickly on that, I'll give you a very quick example, which I was giving to our little business group the other night. Is what's really nice for me, and this, James, being a dad, is there's certain things you're always trying to do with your kids. At the end of the day, my life is my kids. Everything I get up for is my boy. Dragging Tristan to the gym was about getting him healthy, getting him trained, and now he drags me to the gym and helps me train. But when we were doing this house that they bought, Tristan does really well here, and I can leave the company for Tristan to run. I know, and it's nice now because I've got equivalents. It's not all on me. I don't feel everything's on me. We were doing this house up, and Owen's very methodical in everything he does, as Tristan said, very careful and calculated because he's the clever one. And we were cutting down this tree, which we had to take out because the tree surgeon didn't turn up. And we were like, fuck it, how hard can it be to cut a tree down? And this tree was twice the height of the house. And what had happened was me and Tristan were holding the rope for Owen, and we bought him all the kit, was it like chainsaw proof stuff and everything
Basically,
else.
Owen had all the kit, and when he was cutting down the big branches at the top, we tied a rope to it. He was like, right, Tristan, go down, stand down there, pull it, and when you hear a snap, run. So that was my department on it. And
Brilliant.
then Owen had all like the helmet and the gloves, but he was
Got the video there.
So
was
yeah,
good.
so literally we cut this tree down, and it got to the point we got most of it down, but it's still, I mean, this tree was huge. I don't know how we even done it without destroying. We were worried we'd take it down and go straight for the house. I mean, proper worrying about that. You know, not renovate the house, devalued the house in the first fucking few weeks. And it got to a point where Owen kept going down the ladder to look at the tree to work out his next calculated thing. Me having no patience whatsoever, he came down. For fuck's sake, Owen! Stop coming down the fucking ladder, get your ass up there, just get cutting. So I've grabbed the chainsaw off him. I've gone up in my trainers, a pair of shorts, and a vest because it was quite that part of the summer. And I'm terrified of heights, and I hate ladders. I hate things where you're unsafe and heights in particular.
Yeah.
So I've got, and this ladder was, you know, those long ladders that was halfway up the tree to give you some idea how to tie this tree. So I've got up this tree. I've got up there, and Owen's just stood with his leaned against the house, with his arms crossed, like with this smug fucking look on his face. And I've got up there, realised just what I'm facing. I was like, Daddy don't like this, Owen. And he was like, go on then. What you're going to cut off next then, clever clogs? I was like, it didn't look as high from down there.
Jesus.
And and this branch that I said to cut off is a lot thicker than it looked. And I was like, can Daddy come back down and you take back over? No, he just had this big smug look on his face. But that really, to me, was the point where I realised that, do you know what? I don't need to be in charge anymore. I don't need to be the one that gives the orders and tells them what to do. My boys have reached a stage now where it's like, if you say do that, you tell me what you think's best. And as Owen does when we're digging, he invited me the other day. Oh, Dad, you're gonna do the. He had a digger. Dad, you come over and you're going to be in charge of the digger. Got there, he gave me a fucking shovel. It's like, thanks, son. And it's like you guys now. If something happens to me, I'm quite confident now that you guys are set for the future. And I think that's as a parent, that's really what you're trying to do. And that was just it dawned on me from that little story that actually that I got to that point. So I feel that for me, success is many different things, but that is my success. That I feel that hopefully now that they can carry on. So yeah, there you go.
I think you've done a good job, mate. The good thing is that with all the hard work and everything that goes on, you guys do have a bit of crack as well. The one thing I do enjoy seeing is all the pranks that you seem to be playing on each other as well. Where does all that come from?
Just a random idea, or you just
wake up every day.
You just wake up from a dream and think that would be fun.
I do think, I suppose also because being a family unit, we don't have, as a company, we don't have all these corporate bollocks of, can't do this, can't say that. But also, I think just a family, I mean, you mentioned when we were talking, I remember, I'd forgotten about that, where they bet me, because again, when they were little, they always bet me stuff. And as the dad, it's like, oh, I'm good to do that. They betted I couldn't have a bath in the sink, and we had one of those butler sink. And I literally squashed my ass in this sink, put bubbles in so it covered the bits for the picture, and literally wedged my ass in it. We nearly had to call the fire brigade to get me out. And people knew me as Express Coffee, the bloke from the sink picture, for many years in the paddock. So we did that, and then it'd be like, so as they got a bit older, so okay, so we betted Owen to go down the stairs in a wheelie bin, and he had his Guy Martin crash helmet on and all his stuff. We sent him down, and then down here, as I said, where we had all the space, we were always doing stuff down here. And there was this, but we do stuff like this particular time. He bought a buggy, 250cc buggy, way too big for what he needed. And I'd get this idea in my head, and people, I got an idea. So I dug this little trench, filled it with petrol. And I said, right, what you're going to do is you're going to wait there. And when I drop my hand, I'm going to set a light to this, and you're going to drive through it. And in my mind, it was going to be this massive wall of flames. Oh, this thing, you couldn't even see it. It was like a candle.
Oh, God.
And he drove down, he just went, oh, that was interesting. I'll tell you the one I always used to like. When it snowed down here, I came up with this idea of trying to rope to the back of the car. We had one of the cars we had was an Astra, so I'd have the boot open. I got me James Ellison, the blue Ellison t-shirt on.
Oh, God, yeah.
And we put Owen on this sledge. And I was like, oh, I'll drive because I can, I've got the boot open. You all right out there, Owen? and we were driving. This rope was about, it must have been at least 20 metres long because it's the only one we had. And we were driving around, and Owen's literally got his little woolly out on. So he must have only been about 4 or 5. And I look at him and go, faster, Dave, faster. He got to about 30 miles an hour with him clinging to the back. So I think we were always, I think our thing is life's for living and having a laugh.
Mm.
And it is very much, isn't it? I mean,
Yeah, finding that balance, isn't it?
Yeah. What was it you said about it? We said, what was it you tricked?
Oh, yeah. So some good friends of ours, we
Oh, yeah.
come up with an idea. Basically, one of them is a engineer or something. I don't know why he had all this stuff, but he had road workers tire. He had the jacket, the sign, the stop sign. He had the cones, everything. And I went and got it all. But one of them, Simon, he dressed up in all this stuff, and we come up with this plan that we're going to get him out, and we're going to and this is where,
because I've got no patience at all. It's like I literally, I'll fire into the, I just fire into the temp, and then 5 minutes I sit down and go, oh, what were you saying?
And we put these cones out in the road, and we had him standing there, and he was just, and we had to have a bit of practice, so we were just stopping random cars. So he just stopped the car, and then suddenly he got a panic because 2 cars came at the same time from each direction. He didn't know what to do, so he stopped one, let the other one come through, and then it was working really well. And then so we got him along, and we kept him there
all to catch me out.
all this,
I was
just
literally
that.
chilled out with the wife, watching some of our box set, which is what we do on a Sunday afternoon. That's the one time we just chill out. What's that? Oh, Dad, I need you to come down here. So I'm going to get out. Oh, for fuck's sake. So I'm already in a bad mood.
Yeah, I had him there between 5 and 10 minutes, and I was driving, and he was like getting to the point where it's like, just run him down.
And they videoed me, so they got me going, just run the fucker down. Fuck him. Run him down. Stop attacking me, my fucking village.
Every time I started moving forward, Simon kept getting him where the car, and I could just see his little grin on his face. It was laughing even more, and it was brilliant.
And when we finally, when I tried to use the car to nudge him out of the way, like just gently, which is what I do with protesters, just gently nudge him a little bit, and then I saw it was him, and it reminded me. I couldn't help laughing. It reminded me of the whole Beadle's About, if you remember that.
Yeah.
Jeremy Beadle, because he's got a beard, this guy, and Noel Edmonds when he used to do it. So even though I was furious, I just started laughing because he literally looked like Noel Edmonds. It's like, you
my God.
But they'd spent ages working on that.
We were there. This was a good 2 hours we were practicing this, getting this right before we did it.
Well worth it though.
The satisfaction afterwards.
You must have been raging.
Oh mate, I was, but because of the whole Noel Edmonds thing, it very quickly turned that it was like fair play, because you've obviously been out all day. And then as I've looked round, I can see there's loads of the other lads, all with cameras, and it's like, no, it's none of them.
Owen was behind 2 bins filming. One of the other ones took his son's car, so he wouldn't recognise it. It was laid down in the car, filming from another angle. I was filming from inside the car, so I could get the actual him like flipping out. So yeah, no, that was
we didn't put that one on the index. I just thought.
I was going to say, have you not got this recorded yet?
We have.
I
thought, Christ, it makes me I'm just losing my temper. Go, run him down, run that fucker down. Back in Sunday afternoon, stopping the traffic.
That is funny.
I can't really think of any others really.
No.
You'll have to have some New Year resolution ones.
Yeah, I think we need to come down and spend the day with you guys and do like.
Yeah, mate.
That's our next installment.
Yeah, 24 hours in the life of the Palmers.
Yeah, mate. It'd be if you can cope with it, you might go away a bit mentally disturbed, but it's it's a
always be sectioned, I reckon. I don't think that could work.
Yeah. See, the thing is, years ago. So what happened was, years ago, the wife used to go to the gym of an evening, and we go as boys. It's like, right, she's gone. What can we do? So while she was out, we would literally bring the motorbikes in. We should do
perfume. That one's funny.
Oh yeah, we did burnouts in the kitchen.
I remember that one. Yeah.
I'd video it, send it to her, knowing that she would then see it, go absolutely mental. But by the time she got home, generally she calmed down enough.
Yeah.
And that was generally, when we did burnouts. I brought the R1 out and done it in the hallway. I didn't realise, the door, the step, snapped the step going up. Did one where she spends a lot of time in Zante. She was away, and I managed to get my bike into the lounge. Found a little off-cut carpet which I put underneath it, which you couldn't see by the way I took the picture. Which I poured a load of oil on, and then put a thing on social media, tagging her in, going, been meaning to do this fucking oil change for ages.
Oh,
mate, she went absolutely loopy. I had to stop in the end because I thought we'd end up with divorce proceedings. We did one where we sprayed all her perfume. So she came to the house, went absolutely nuts that I've had a woman in here, and run round literally throwing stuff at us. And then obviously it dawned on her it was her perfume because she saw the empty perfume bottle. And then it set her off again that we used all her perfume.
Oh no!
So
They're so mean.
Yeah, so after a while we had to stop that. Yeah, but no, again, it's just, I suppose, yeah. It's just,
we did the skeleton in the toilets, didn't we?
Oh yeah, because I come in so early in our old building. I used to come in. First thing I do is come in, put the kettle on, and then walk into the loo. And they got a skeleton.
Me and my mum had this plastic skeleton. We called it Mr. Bones. And what we did was we put it in the toilet. Put an Express Coffee t-shirt, put a like newspaper, so it proper sat there with his legs crossed. Had a little cigar coming out, and we'd forgotten all about it. This is the thing. What we do is we do something and then actually forget about it, and then it's like when it happens, it's even better because.
Honestly, mate, I proper screamed the place down. I shit myself. We did one where I got a Pritt stick once. And this was quite funny. I got a Pritt stick, and we got a white toilet seat, and I literally went round the toilet seat in the ladies.
Oh my god!
Until I'd finished this entire Pritt stick, and then carefully moulded it to the seat so you couldn't really tell. Then one of the staff went in, and again, like Tristan, we completely forgot about it. She'd obviously gone in there because one of the things was she's sitting there for fucking ages on her phone. Got in there, dumped herself down like that, and got stuck to the toilet seat. And I'd not even thought the suction and everything else that pulled off a bit of skin. And then once we managed to get herself off the toilet seat, and then tried to wash it off with tissue.
You can't get the glue off.
No, all the tissue stuck to her ass, and then a knicker stuck to her ass and her jeans. So, and I just remember the door bursting open. It was just like, you! It's just like,
fuck.
Well,
are you still married?
Fires.
Yeah, sorry?
Are you still married?
I think so, yeah. I did try and divorce her recently because I came up with this bright idea that she saw the application. I went online to try and start an online divorce. Because I said, well, when you go to the Bahamas next year, they quite often upgrade your room if you're getting married. And that's where we go and get remarried. But she didn't. She wasn't on board on that one. Yeah.
What a bright idea.
Brilliant.
Well, it has
give me some ideas.
An absolute pleasure to talk to both of you. Yeah, it was really nice to actually just have an impromptu little chat and learn a bit more about the Express Coffee boys.
Yeah, we don't actually work.
Yeah,
Just lounging in the office there.
This is why we work so many hours, because we spend that amount of time fucking about doing so. We've got to catch back up again and work through the night. Yeah, I'm not sure it's a good advert for Express Coffee, but yeah, it is us. It
definitely is. It definitely is.
It's a picture of what you two are all about. Yeah, people don't need to say how much you work because it's the evidence is kind of there, for people to see. So it's been lovely just chatting to you both.
Lovely to chat to you. And brilliant news on this whole podcast, everything you're doing. It's great to see you both, and quite flattered that we're the first ones. I didn't even realise when I was going on because I said I clicked on yesterday, and then fell asleep holding my phone, and then went back on, and I saw the bit where you're saying who you got on for your first one, and all the sort of, I was like, oh bloody hell, this is a bit of a build up, isn't it? I'm going to live up to this one. But and as you know, Tristan and Owen have been doing that. We set them up a little Fueled by Brothers on YouTube.
Yeah, sorry.
And Tristan's been, because I said he's been interviewed, same sort of thing, just really a bit of a chat. And you've had Rick English in, which is always fascinating chatting to Rick, which you kindly, because if you remember, I was looking for stuntman. You gave me what's your other lad, stuntman lad?
Kieran Clark.
Kieran went through to Kieran, and Kieran sort of said, "I'm not the big coffee drinker, but I know a man who is."
Oh, Rick is.
And obviously went into Rick, and obviously we've been with Rick ever since, which was really good of him. So we had Danny John Jules in and done a bit with Danny. And who else have you had? Oh, Steve Parrish was interesting.
He's hilarious. He's got some stories.
Now that to me, when it comes to pranksters, some of the stuff
he
just bow down.
You should team up,
mate. I just thought he was absolutely brilliant, and it was always nice because Steve kindly, when I took my mum and dad to the Northwest some years ago, and it was the year we then found out my dad had cancer, so he then didn't make the TT. But we got there, and I sort of said to Steve, "Look, I'm bringing out this first time to road racing," and he absolutely looked after him. It was just so genuinely nice to him. So yeah, so I've always had a soft spot for Steve. He's such a good guy, and I'm trying to think who else you've had. You've had a few on, haven't you? But again, we're just about to start launching them, so we've done, because we're not very good on social media. And I tell you, this is the other thing I don't understand with all this. You know, I put on something I think is quite an interesting piece. It gets like 3 views. I put a picture of me and you. We turned up to True Heroes black tie dinner last year as Batman and Robin.
Okay,
They got like 1,300 views in about 4 hours. It's like, but that's just us fucking about. I don't understand
Mate,
it.
that's what people,
Weird, isn't it?
That's what people want to see, though. It's real life. It's what it's not scripted.
Yeah.
I think that's the interesting thing about it. So yeah, it's good.
And then we broke down on the way back, so we did the Falldale Boys scene after that. So
that actually happened, didn't it? In the what's it called?
In our little black van, yeah. Yeah. So always doing something daft. So
Brilliant.
yeah.
Keeps life interesting, though. I think that's what everyone needs in life.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that's the big thing, isn't it? Is if you can't laugh at yourself, it's very much, we all go through struggles at different times in our lives, and it's trying to hold on to the positive bits and try our best to get through the negative bits.
What I did learn was when you're wearing a tight Robin outfit, you should wear underwear.
Yes.
I thought it was safe not to. Yeah, it wasn't.
No.
Yeah, I learned the hard
Brilliant.
way.
You should have gone your Ken suit.
No, God, no. Yeah, Holly bought me a Ken suit. You know the Barbie and Ken movie.
Oh yeah.
I was tempted to wear it for the NEC, but I don't think I get away with it at the minute.
Yeah.
Sam, my little brother, said he was like, James is basically like a real life Ken doll. So we tried it out to see if it worked.
Definitely not.
I can see the likeness. I mean, maybe a bit too old for the boy band now, so the Ken doll would be perfect, wouldn't it?
Yeah, true. I can be the older Ken. I can be the granddad Ken. But yeah, speaking of the NEC, are you guys going to be there? Because we're heading down next weekend.
No, I must be honest. I do my very best to avoid the NEC. I suppose really it's years of doing the Honda Cafe, which was great, but it was hard work, because you were there at 7, you were getting the coffee bar ready. By the time the show finished, we then had to go to the shop. We had to get all the milk, and we had to get prepared for the following day. So it was a hard graft. So I suppose really that and Goodwood's the same. I avoid both places because for me it was always long hours grafting and stuff like that. So I never really got the chance to enjoy them, I suppose.
Fair enough. I was hoping for somewhere to hang out for a coffee. That's all.
True Heroes have got a machine for you.
Oh, I saw that. Yeah.
So if Phil's not managed to break it, then there'll be a coffee machine on True Heroes for you.
Right.
There we go. We're sorted.
Brilliant. Well, yeah.
Well, we shall arrange a date and we'll come down and follow you around for I'm going to say 24 hours, but God, we'll be lost. We'll be absolutely wrecked. We need a holiday.
Well, I mean, you could, because you could get down at about 3:30 in the morning. We'll have a coffee ready for you. Yeah,
it's funny actually. I was going through one of the machines the other day, and I found the Ellison we created.
Yeah, do you remember that, the Ellison drink?
It's still on.
Ellison,
God,
it's pretty much a cortado, but yeah, it was a double
espresso, and and we actually had it as an Ellison. Yes,
still exists. Brilliant.
Program on the program on my USB.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, oh my God.
That's what Admiral branded coffee beans as well. I didn't remember we did I think it was back in 2009. We did the coffee test where we lined them all up, and it was like picking the best one. Yeah. And I picked one. And I remember you saying, "Oh, you fucking would pick that one. It's the most expensive."
Yes, actually, that was expensive.
Comes from the top of the mountains in Jamaica.
Do you know what? And I generally love him to bits, old John McGuinness. But bloody hell, I don't know if you remember.
He was crema, wasn't he?
He liked his super crema because he said he's a big softie when it comes he said he's a big girl when it comes to coffee. So he had but we had do you know if you remember, we had some proper, really expensive Blue Mountain roasted up in little bags. And I'm not joking, to buy a bag of Blue Mountain coffee, you're talking probably 150 quid. It's so expensive. And I sent it out to all our top riders. James obviously appreciated it. I messaged John, said, John, don't just chuck in your fucking coffee machine. This is like caviar of coffee. Empty all your beans out and put it in. Well, when I chased it up, I said, you do? Oh yeah, we chucked it in the coffee machine. I was like, no. What do you do? Yeah, Becky told me they put vodka in once. And again, I'm sure Becky don't mind me saying this. This is what she told me anyway. She said she hates bottles of water being half filled, like lying around when people went drunk it all. They said what they did was they put it all in a jug and then use it for the coffee machine in the RV.
Yeah.
So if Becky's out there, I think I've got this story straight. Where she said that they also had another jug which had vodka in or something, and that ended up getting put to the coffee machine. I'm sure that's what she told me.
Oh my God. So it's like a kind of like an
Tasted
espresso.
rank.
No, if you added a little bit of Baileys or a bit of Kahlua, could have been an
Yeah, I wouldn't do
espresso
vodka.
martini
Oh my God.
Yeah.
on the road to it. But anyway, we better let you guys go and do some
Yes,
work.
we better go and do some work now. We go and catch up.
Yeah, we better do some work as well. We've got to get some plans together for the NEC.
I know, yeah. Been very slack, haven't we?
Yeah, a little bit.
Lovely,
Busy time.
lovely to see you anyway.
Yeah, thank
Yeah,
you.
you too,
Yeah, it
guys.
was really nice to see you.
I've got to say, Trish, you're looking very trim, mate.
Oh, thank you. Yeah,
Very impressed.
thank you very much.
So, yeah,
Try.
keep it up.
Gym session pending.
Yeah, making me feel guilty. I need to get to the gym now.
I'll do some coffee tasting.
On a serious note, when you come down, we could start that with a gym workout for us all. You know.
Yeah, we'll do.
I used to come with you when you used to go to Griff. Do you remember? I used to come and meet
Oh
you
God,
there.
Griff, yeah, I remember that. Jesus Christ, he was savage.
Yeah, that was a workout.
Those days have gone.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Thank you.
Yeah, no worries. Right, well, good to chat to you guys.
Yeah.
All right.
Keep up the good work, and yeah, we'll speak to you soon.
All right. Thank you.
Bye.
see you later.
Cheers, fellas.
Bye.